Long ago, in a living room very much like yours, two women made up a podcast on how movies link up to each other, and they called it 6 Degrees of Feature Film.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to 6 Degrees of Feature Film. We are your hosts. I am Miss Movies.
And I am Stacy Howard.
Thanks for joining us today. We're very excited because this is now our second episode, which is pretty amazing.
Yay!
Hooray, we did it.
Double
Yay, number
trouble.
2. I let Stacy take the lead, and I let her decide what story we were going to do for our feature film. Or what, I just ruined it. Oh, well.
You did. You
did.
gave a little bit of a hint.
I did.
Okay, so for those
What
of you
movie?
that are not familiar with the format, I pick one movie, and then 2 movies branch off of that from a specific link, and then 2 more on each side. So
Yep.
our first movie that we start with today is ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba, Toy Story. One of the best animated features, favorites of my childhood. I couldn't help but include this movie in at least some aspect of our show. So, hopping right into it, we're just going to talk about Toy Story today.
Let's do it.
In case you're not familiar with the movie, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, Toy Story is a cowboy doll is profoundly threatened and jealous when a new spaceman figure supplants him as top toy in a boy's room. So, basically, the cast is Tim Allen, also America's Dad, Tom Hanks, plays Woody.
America's Dad.
And then every other voice actor that works with Pixar.
Yeah.
They use all the same ones
people. I
all
love
the
it.
time, which is a good thing because you come to recognize their voices and really love them, and, they kind of feel like part of your family. These
Right.
people, they were part of my childhood. They were. When I was a little, Toy Story... to me, it could have been real. It came out in 95 when I was 5 years old. So
Okay.
in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, I bet you toys, do they do that? I
Yeah.
bet you they do. Like, my toys, they're totally all friends. They play with each other when I'm not in the room. And then when I come back, they, secretly go back into their spots. But I know that this movie is real. I know that this actually happens.
Yes.
And it was a real thing.
This is nonfiction.
Yeah, this is nonfiction. The box office in the U.S. in 95 was over $190 million. It was the highest grossing movie of 1995. And so if
Wow.
you work in everything since then, as well as, overseas and international box office, this movie was hugely successful. And it's the first movie for Pixar. So to have that level of success coming right out of the gate, I mean, that must have been just no one expected this to be this huge of a movie, and it just turned out to be absolutely incredible and span, an entire trilogy of movies that kind of encapsulate a whole childhood and a whole person growing up, really.
Right.
I've kind of written an article before about why Toy Story is so important to my generation because in 95, we were 5 years old. We were about the age of Andy, and so we thought that this world could be real. And then you go through Toy Story 2 and then Toy Story 3. In the third movie, he is going off to college. He's growing up. He's outgrown his old toys, and he's trying to start this new life. And that was I think it was 2012 that movie came out. And so I think it just graduated college.
This
and
is
I was
all
about
for
to start.
you.
Yeah. And
This
so I
is
was
your trilogy of
this
your
is
life.
my trilogy. But everyone my age, the movies followed our lifetime and followed everything we were going through.
I like it.
So I was like, oh my gosh, it really is incredible. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's so
That makes
so
it even
important.
more special.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that all of those things, you went through.
Yeah.
You were pretty much the age, a little younger than him, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it totally followed the story of, what me and my friends were going through at the time. So when we were seeing the third movie, we were just losing it the whole time because we were like, it's like us and Annie and the college, we couldn't handle it. It was a lot to take in. So anyway, so let's go through some facts and figures, which we did the year and the box office. But the first viewing I had was when it came out in theaters when I was little, and then I rewatch it every year. It's always on. I might have a day at my friend's house who works for Disney, so she has a lot of Disney films, and we'll usually rewatch something from Disney, some animated thing.
Right.
And so we usually watch either Toy Story or Toy Story 2 every few months at a sleepover at her house.
Cute.
It's like me and all my friends.
Bring your stuffed animal.
Bring your stuffed animal and bring your blow-up mattress, and let's just have a Pixar night. We're very hard partying kind of gals. I know that sounds like we cause a lot of ruckus, but
I've seen your ruckus. It ends in like trying to open up wine bottles with knives. And
yes,
blood.
Oh my gosh. yes. It gets we get a little crazy. I know. But
now I saw this in theaters as well, but I was 14 at the time, so it resonates a little bit differently. And the last time I saw it was probably within the last 6 months because I was showing it to my children. So
now, was it the first time they had seen it?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes. So my kids love it. My son loves Buzz. Like that is one of his favorite things is Buzz Lightyear, and so he has a photograph in his room, and it's signed by Woody and Buzz, and it's Woody and Buzz, and it's just so cute. He like makes me put them to bed every night, so he makes me take the picture off of the wall and put it down on the counter so they're lying down. It's great.
What? Oh, that's too
He's
cute.
like, put them to bed. They need to go to bed.
Oh
I'm like, okay. So
that's so cute. See, and that's the perfect age, because I bet you he thinks his toys come alive too.
probably.
Yeah, that's only. It's such a childlike concept, but it deals with really adult themes. About like abandonment and being replaced and jealousy and love. It deals with very adult type things, but it's set in this like kind of child universe. So I thought that was what made the film really resonate with people. And okay, so here I'll go through some things, and then I want to talk about a specific topic related to Toy Story, because I was having some late night thoughts about the film, which I always do, and I have some discussions to talk about with this film. So anyway, my favorite scene, and there are many, but it's mainly when Buzz and Woody are fighting under the truck at the gas station, and he's like, "You are a toy! You're an action figure!" And on the and they're just having this argument. "You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity." There's so many quotable moments, but that's just the scene where they finally duke it out is hilarious and just classic. It's like such an iconic scene. It really is.
I love the claw scene.
Yeah,
because with all the little aliens.
Oh my gosh. And the fact that in the spoilers for the third movie, but the fact that those little toys come back and save the day and round out the entire series is perfect. That's perfect. That's so great. So, my least favorite scene, and this gets into what I wanted to talk about today. I wrote a note on my phone.
Yes.
My least favorite scene is when Woody gets... Okay, I need to wrap my brain around this, because...
I'll tell you my least favorite scene
you go ahead and then...
While you're figuring your brain out. Pretty much anything with Sid. I just don't like Sid. There's no redeemable quality about that child.
That was my
my
older brother.
kids get scared when Woody talks to Sid. Because Waverly's like, Woody talk to Sid. Woody talk to Sid. Woody can't talk to Sid. And I'm like, yeah, he's not supposed to talk to Sid. You're right.
All the rules.
She's understanding movies, and he's not supposed to talk to Sid. Why is that happening?
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of funny that she kind of put that together. No.
So play nice.
Exactly.
That's terrifying. It really is.
Happened?
Yeah. Because you're you're not supposed to break the rules of the toy universe, and how do you... Okay, this is what I wanted to get into, was what are the rules of this toy universe in terms of are the toys really all this... Here, I'm just going to read this off.
Okay.
In Toy Story, when Woody gets his forehead burned by a magnifying glass, he reacts violently in pain. But in Toy Story 2, when he gets his arm ripped off, when the thread comes off, he has no physical reaction besides oh gosh, my arm is, whoa, that's weird. And so my question is, can toys feel pain in the Toy Story universe? What are the rules? Also, can they die? Is it like Death Becomes Her, where no matter how many times you die or are injured and your body falls apart and stuff, you're still alive? So does that mean, like,
Oh, dear.
are there are there dolls from the 1800s who are, like, buried alive in a landfill, or, like, they've been in an attic for 200 years?
I think
and
the only way to kill them is burning.
No, this is what I'm asking, though. So, like, are there dolls from the 1800s that have slowly gone insane because they've been alone for over 200 years? Like, these thoughts are terrifying.
That
like,
is a horror movie.
How do toys come into consciousness in the first place? Is it, like, in the assembly line at the toy factory? And then how do they die? Because, like, no one dies, so there's going to be dolls from, like, centuries old that they lost their Andy...
Yep.
so many years ago. Yep. So what have they been doing chilling all by themselves? It's like terrifying to think
They're in
about.
the landfill, like, looking around for friends.
Right? Like, it really is.
Like,
this is really freaking me out, actually. When I start to think about what are the rules of the universe, can toys die? Like, what happens to them? Because the whole premise of kind of the second movie is abandonment and what happens when your child grows up. That happens to every toy eventually. So how long has this been going on? And then what... The poor toys that are 200 years old and they don't know... You know what I mean? Like, it's really scary to think about. I just wanted to throw that out into the podcast universe and get people to talk about that. Because it's really a fascinating subject. And I
think you just have to burn them down. That's all that's the only way they can die.
I guess they're like zombies or vampires. Like, you have to either blow up the head or... I had a lot of...
We can decide.
We can decide. Okay, so here's some reactions on Twitter. One guy was like, at Paul West, so at Westat2Court, said, well, maybe the head holds the consciousness. So if an arm gets replaced, it's no big deal. But if the head gets replaced, it's like a different toy. Like a different Woody. And then someone else was like, well, the magnifying glass burned wood and his arm in cloth, which is easily repaired. So wooden parts hurt while the cloth does not.
Okay, good.
And then someone else. I think that was one of the only reactions we had. But it's really, really strange to think about this toy universe and what are the rules and how. I'm just really worried about those poor Victorian dolls that have been alone for 200 years.
Maybe this is why they're so afraid of the incinerator when
maybe
at the end
they're
like,
we know real death
this
is coming.
It.
This is it. I'm about to meet my maker. You know, and no, all this poor because like Jessie was really scared about going into storage. Because she didn't like to be alone in the dark. They'd been there for years, like apparently since the 50s, kind of. So then, like, there has to be other toys that happened to. Like, every toy has to go through that. It just really freaks me out thinking about this entire universe. And I just wanted to throw that discussion in the air because it's one that I think that we should all have. It's very important.
I do like that there are those, like, theories online that Jessie was originally Andy's mom's toy. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that. Oh, I got to read that theory.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's like a BuzzFeed article or something.
Yeah, it's really good because, like, you see, I think it all connects to the hat that he wears while playing. The hat that he wears is a hat that's like Jessie's, not like Woody's. And so that's the connection to... Why does he have this hat? Who gave him this hat? Well, maybe his mom gave him the hat, and maybe it was her hat, and maybe that came from her set of playing with.
Oh my gosh.
With the doll. So I kind of like that theory.
So then, oh yeah, so Andy's mom is a bitch because she abandoned Jessie.
Yeah.
One day.
Didn't she like lose her on a trip or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Wasn't even paying attention.
You know what? Her parents were like, "We're not going back. We'll just get you another."
Yeah.
That's usually how it is.
Wait, that happened with Lotso, right?
Sure.
That's what happened with Lotso. I think. I can't even remember.
Well, and then he like sees through the window.
Yeah. With in the rain. She's replaced us. Damn it, these
sad.
movies. It's really, really sad to think about. Like, literally, that's the scariest thing I can think of in my mind is, like, being abandoned for years and you're all alone and don't know if your owner is coming back and what do I do with the rest of my time? Like, can they die? Or is it like Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep when they fall down the stairs and they're in dozens of pieces?
That movie is hilarious.
It's crazy to think. It is super hilarious and very, very dark. And this Toy Stories is just as dark. It is because it's like what happens with these toys. They're just, I can't stop thinking about these poor Victorian dolls that are so many hundreds of years old. It's because kids
You're gonna go rescue them from the landfill.
I am. I'm totally gonna search for those toys. So that is Toy Story.
This was also the first animated film in Oscar history to be nominated for Best Screenplay Academy Award, adapted or original. So that's pretty awesome. Absolutely. They also wanted Barbie to be a bigger part in this film, but Mattel was like, nope, no, we're not, no, we're not letting you do that. And then once Toy Story became a success, Mattel was like, all right, you can use Barbie in the second one.
I guess it's okay.
That's why she shows up and Ken shows up. And
originally, because it was supposed to be that she pulls her Corvette up to the moving truck and is like having an action scene kind of with him, and it's supposed to be like Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah, she's supposed to save Woody and Buzz.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That would have been fun. Oh,
but who was it? The Slinky Dog that saved them?
Yeah,
and like a rocket of sorts. Aw, Jim Varney is the Slinky Dog. I miss Jim Varney.
Slink. I miss Slink really bad. I do.
So from Toy Story, our link to our next two films is going to be, the theme is going to be movies where the leads hate each other, which I like that. That makes me laugh.
Yes.
So I chose Bring It On from 2000. This is a PG-13 film. I know. I just saw that the other day and I was like, I gotta do it. A champion high school cheerleading squad discovers its previous captain stole their best routines from an inner city school and must scramble to compete at this year's championships. What? Kirsten Dunst plays Torrance Shipman, who is the main character. Eliza Dushku plays Missy, and Jesse Bradford as Cliff. And Missy and Cliff are related. They are brother and sister. Those are pretty much the main characters.
Gabrielle Union.
Oh, yeah. Let me forget about her. That's how sad. Gabrielle Union as Isis. Love that. Now that would not go.
No.
But this is directed by Peyton Reed, who also directed Ant-Man.
Yes.
Yes, I love it.
That's a big filmography leap.
I know.
I love it.
What do you know? Okay. Obviously, I like this film because I was on the dance team in high school and did song leading for the Trojans. So this is something I'm sure that I saw in theaters, probably with other people that were part of the dance team at the time. Came out August 25th, 2000. And I think the best part is probably that opening sequence where she's dreaming, but you don't know she's dreaming, and there's like, they're announcing the captain, and then she's topless, and you're like, what? You know who hated this film? Roger Ebert. Because he was like, here's why I don't like Bring It On. It's because it's a PG-13 film that really does need to be an R-rated film. Yes. It really pushes the boundaries of what is PG and what is R, just based on their language alone and certain other thematic things that happen during the film.
I remember seeing this in theaters with all my dance friends as well, because I did competitive dance growing up and cheerleading and all that stuff.
Love it.
And so you go with all your friends, and we probably saw it 5 or 6 times in theaters. Like, we just begged our moms, please just drop us off. We're going to go see it and pick us back up again. And you know what I mean? So it was like kind of our little outing together. But it was one of those movies where I was 10 years old when it came out. So a lot of the sexual innuendo jokes and everything, we didn't understand. They don't transfer. And like when they're doing the little what's it called when the guy is
the lift, he's lifting her
and
up,
he like I'm assuming
does something
with his thumb, and I didn't understand what they were talking about. I was like, what did he like pinch her? Like I didn't like know what was going on. And then Just all the really, like Roger Ebert said, it should have been R, because there were some really inappropriate jokes for like a PG-13 movie, and really, really kind of like risque stuff, and like spanky panties and like all this crazy stuff in the movie. But I understood that it was funny. Like I knew that it was at one side of the spectrum, it was admiring the world of competitive cheerleading and how ambitious and competitive these girls are, but also making fun of the world at the same time. Yes. So I like that it had that 2 different sides. And it was supposed to be like a documentary for MTV about competitive cheerleading, right? And so it started off as this, and then the guy was like, wait, this whole world, like I had never even heard of this, and now I'm being introduced. This is ridiculous. I have to write this as a script or something like that. So it started off as one thing and became this entire teenage comedy satire brilliant film that's actually really, really underrated as far as like being a smart comedy.
There are certain things about it that obviously wouldn't happen. Like the fact about stealing routines is kind of iffy because like when you're a cheerleader or when you're on dance team or song leading or whatever, you go to dance camp. So you're all learning, and all these teams go to dance camp. So you're all learning the same routines. Now, those aren't necessarily your competition routines, but those are things that you use at like football halftime or basketball when there's timeouts or halftime for that as well. So you are doing the same routines as some other schools in other parts of the state and stuff like that. And then come time for your competition is when you normally teams hire a choreographer. Now in this world, it's like, oh, that's forbidden. Can't hire a choreographer for this. But actually, that's not forbidden. That's pretty much what you do is you hire a choreographer. Now the difference here is that the choreographer took the same routine and gave it to everyone else. So then they're all doing the same routine, which sucks. But that would
wouldn't have
never
happened.
happen.
Everybody would have found out.
Yeah.
Or, and also
you wouldn't perform your competition routine before you even like went anywhere else either. Like maybe you do it at a halftime at a basketball game the week before you leave for competition.
Right.
But you wouldn't be doing it before then. So there would be no chance for someone to, I mean, you'd be practicing it, but there wouldn't be a chance for someone to come into your practice and videotape your practice.
Yeah.
So,
otherwise, it'd just be like someone chilling on the stands,
yeah,
in the bleachers. And you're like, why is that person standing there with a video camera?
Yeah,
like
so maybe they didn't have enough money to go to camp, and so she just decided to take the routines. I get it, but like...
But they're a really rich school, and that's the whole point.
Yeah.
So they're the rich white school, and then they're copying off the poor black students that are actually the real talent in the scenario. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was just, that's a little, not unrealistic as far as, like, stealing routines and everything. Especially when they live, they're both in California. Like, they maybe live 3 hours apart, I think. But if it was different
like
states.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, if it's, like, different states, maybe, because usually you don't go to competition outside of your state unless you're, like, a really big team. Then you might, like, fly somewhere to do it. But... they lived super close. Like, they would know. You would always be at the same competition with that because they'd be in your district or whatever. So, anyway, we're nitpicking there, but
we are.
Yeah.
Dear Peyton, we gotta do some fixes.
We have some questions. What are the rules of your universe? How does a cheerleader gain consciousness, and how can she die? Can she be burned to death?
And their routines are super advanced.
Really advanced.
I know that obviously these are not high school cheerleading teams. These are definitely college. But like in the movie, they're in high school. And so if you ever saw something like that, I'd be like, holy, like there is no way that anyone else is getting even close to winning a trophy. Because those teams are on different levels. Anyways.
But it had to be fun for the movie. It had to be like, oh my God, they're amazing. No wonder they're 5-time national champions.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
The movie, I need to rewatch it actually. Now that it's the anniversary and now that we've talked about it, I'm feeling really, really nostalgic for it and I really, really want to watch it. So I really, really just said really, really twice. Really,
really do it.
Really, really do it. Okay.
This came out August 25th, as I said. The budget was $28 million and it grossed $90.4 million. So it spawned 4 sequels as well. I've only seen 2 of the sequels. One of them I only saw like kind of half of. Bring It On Again. I saw Bring It On Again, like, kind of half. I didn't really watch the whole thing. I did see Bring It On All or Nothing, because that one is on all the time. That's with Hayden
Panettiere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hayden. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. I have seen that one. And,
I have not.
And, yeah.
I've
seen it a few times.
Is it good?
It's all right. It's not good, but it's closer to Bring It On than the second one was.
It's a Broadway musical now, isn't it?
Yes,
Bring It On is.
I totally want to see that.
I will totally go see that.
It also did Bring It On, In It to Win It, and Bring It On, Fight to the Finish. I haven't seen any of those, but I get it. I get why they keep making them. Who knew? This is like a dark horse of a series.
It really is.
This is like the new you're like,
Furious. Oh my God, Bring It On
is
a franchise? The Rock comes on as like a cheer coach.
Oh my gosh,
let's
do it. We have to cast this.
He is Sparky Plastry, that kind of character, and comes on and like kicks all their asses and whips them into shape.
We got to bring this back.
Yes.
We're going to bring it back.
Oh my God. We need to tweet at The Rock right now and be like, yo, do a Bring It On movie. You come in as the choreographer and save the series. That'd be incredible.
This obviously was not nominated for any Oscars. Shocker.
No. It should have been for screenplay because it really is hysterical.
It was nominated for an MTV Movie Award for Best Dance Sequence for the opening scene.
That's it?
That's it.
That's so
it.
stupid because it's such a brilliant film. It really is.
It is.
When you
My
look at it.
favorite scenes. Okay, the car wash scene is kind of a favorite of mine, and let me tell you why. When I was in high school and when I was on the dance team, we would have car washes. And freshman year, like, we would wear bathing suits. Like, not usually like shorts, so bathing suits underneath or whatever. But then after that, it was like, you're no longer allowed to do this.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't get it, you know, because
Why? It's just bathing suits. What's going on?
like, we're gonna get wet because we're washing cars.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it. But it was like, you gotta put a t-shirt on over that. I was like, by today's standards of what is going on in the world today, then there'd be a whole article about, like, why I can't wear why I have to cover up as a woman, like, whereas a boy could probably go shirtless and wear a bathing suit washing a car, like, if he was on my squad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, there would be
totally.
a whole
There'd be
double
a-
standard thing.
Yes,
and,
absolutely. It completely.
like, we had that rule. We could not be like that. We had to have a t-shirt. We also had the rule, like, after that freshman year, so we had a different coach starting sophomore year, and I think that the principal kind of, like, started to come down on the coach and be like, you need to change this. We had this rule of, if you were going to wear a sports, it was basically like what we would wear to practice was a sports bra and, like, bike shorts. Like, that's it. The rule came out, like, if you're going to wear a sports bra, you have to have pants. Like, you can't do sports bra and bike shorts. And I was like, okay, like, I'll follow the rules, but whatever, you know. And
Which is dumb because when you're working out and doing all those, you know, these very physical routines, you have to see how your body is moving and how you're holding yourself.
Right.
And, like, for dance and stuff, we wear the skimpiest outfits, not because we were like, I want to be sexual. And
Right.
it's like, you need to see if you're holding
You
your
do.
muscles the right way so you know if your technique is correct. It's like, you know what I mean? So
The problem was we didn't have, like, a dance space, so we'd be out on the field, and so would the football team. So there we are, right next to the football team, like, not right next to them, but we're on
Right.
the same area.
Yeah.
So I think that could have been the problem. And I'm like, well, why don't you get us a dance space and some mirrors, and then you don't have to worry. We can close the door, and no one can bother us.
exactly.
We'll do what we want.
Oh, double standards.
That's just how it goes. So I do enjoy the car wash because of, you know, it references to times that I remember. And the thing that I least like about the movie, and maybe because I just didn't understand why there's, like, a total lack of adults anywhere. I'm like, adults are a major part of all of it.
Yeah.
And a part of all of, you know, competition and things like that. So to just have her parents in the movie and no one else's parents, it just kind of seemed a little strange to me.
And also, there's no coach. Like, I know
Yeah,
you have a
well,
captain, but
right.
there's always a coach.
Always.
The coach would have been the ones, that's the person that makes up the routines and organizes the competitions and would have organized the choreographer and raising the money. Like, there's no, and especially if you're this huge, you know, incredibly successful cheerleading team, 5-time national champions, you would have had someone to have, like, led you this whole time. You know what I mean?
Because not only is the coach there to do basically what Torrance Shipman does in the film, but she also has the job, or he has the job of being the administrator.
Right.
So in order to go to these competitions, you have to do applications and things like that. And you have to send in your music. And that is something, like, you wouldn't entrust in a, you know, 16 to 18-year-old girl.
Exactly.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. It wouldn't get done. And then you wouldn't... and all this money too.
Yeah. Cheerleading is expensive. I
It
don't know
is.
if you guys know.
You gotta do fundraising for it. That's
Yeah.
why you have car washes, and then that's why you have things like other fundraisers throughout the year.
Exactly. Yeah, I never really noticed that until you just mentioned it. But yeah, there's a total lack of adults in this world. And none of the bad stuff that happened to the team would have happened if there had been adults involved, because adults are the ones that handle all that kind of...
This is where our next
stuff.
film will explore, you know.
That's right.
The Rock is the cheerleading
The Rock
coach.
comes in and is like, yo, you kids have had no adult guidance. I'm bringing the pain here.
Yeah,
I'm taking over. I'm taking control. And then he takes over the world of cheerleading.
Then we need to
And
have
he's-
him against another team. It's got to have a strong person to butt
my
heads
gosh.
against.
Who would be the
I don't
leader
know.
of the other team?
We got to cast that.
Jason Momoa?
Could be.
He's the
Could
leader
be.
of the Hawaiian cheerleading team?
Sure.
He's Samoan, right?
Why not?
There
Let's
you
do
go.
it. And that's all I got for it.
Oh, bring it on.
Bring it on.
15 years of one of the best cheerleader satire comedies of 2000.
So now Stacy's going to present her next movie of movies where the leads hate each other.
So my movie where the leads hate each other is 10 Things I Hate About You, which fits in perfectly because it has the word hate in there because I'm a smart person. And I was like, oh my gosh, this film totally fits in there. So there we go. Okay. If you've never seen 10 Things I Hate About You, it's a new kid must find a guy to date the meanest girl in school who's the older sister of the girl he has a crush on who cannot date until her older sister does.
Yes.
So basically the cast, everybody we love from the 90s. You've got very dreamy Heath Ledger. He's got dark hair. It's one of his first American movies, I think. Julia Stiles. You've got baby JGL, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yes. Gabrielle Union, again. Here she is, she's popping here. Up again. She's all over. She's all over this podcast. And so many cameos of like really, really great 90s rom-com kids. It came out in 1999, one of the best years in cinema.
I agree.
Yes, I think that is the best year. I mean, you've got The Matrix, American Beauty, The
Fight
Mummy,
Club.
Fight Club, Phantom Menace, and a bunch of other really good ones. 1999 was the year.
You know, not every year can be perfect.
Not every year
that's why you get
can
things
have all
like
the
Phantom
winners.
Menace.
So, it made $38 million in the box office. In the U.S. I don't know internationally because I need to still look those up.
Oh, you know what? I have a gross million of 53.3 million and it was made for 30 million. So maybe you were seeing just the US numbers.
I'm just seeing the US numbers. That's all I looked up for each of my movies. Nice. But I need to do total, like international, add that in. Because when you look up box office on IMDb, it's a huge list.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll have dates going up until almost recently as to how much it's made. And I'm like, oh, like if it's re-released, all that stuff. So I'm like, oops. So I'll rework that over. But anyway, so my first viewing is I saw this at a sleepover at my friend's house.
Fun.
You know, you always watch teen romantic comedies when you're having a sleepover. So it was movies like this and Can't Hardly Wait and all those like 90s, you know, teen movies. And my favorites, let's see, in the recent viewing, every time it's on TNT or TBS or whatever, I always watch it. Even, you know, whenever it's on cable. It's a solid watch for the afternoon.
I think I may have seen it in theaters, but I'm not positive. I remember when it was in theaters, though, and, like, walking by the thing that said 10 Things I Hate About You. Like, I specifically remember that. I have no clue what movie I was going to see, but I remember walking by.
It was probably Phantom Menace, and you were like, this is going to be the greatest viewing of my life. Yeah. And then you were like, why didn't I see 10 Things I Hate About You?
That's probably what I was
with
thinking.
Baby JGL. Why didn't I see that movie?
But yeah, I'm the same way. Like, my most recent's probably anytime it's been on television, and I'll just catch whatever, you know, scene they're at. I love their house. That's one thing.
Their house is beautiful.
It's amazing.
This giant, gorgeous 3-story house.
It's like in Washington. I think I wrote an article about this, like movie homes and films or something like that. And I remember putting their house on that list because it's just phenomenal. Like, if I could live there, I would. I would. They wanted that house for The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, but for something happened and that production didn't work. So then they went to some other house like down the street.
I've always wondered, like, what do you do if you own a movie home? You know, like a home that is famous. How do you get that home, and what's it like to live in it, and do people, like, come by and try
and they use, like, the sorority houses that I see all the time, and fraternity houses all the time, and it's usually just, like, the person that wants to use it will contact them, and then they, like, kind of go through the script points of when they're going to use it, and what it's used for, and how it's going to look, and then they can decide. But it's a big do, like, they will wreck your place, like...
Yeah, they take things down, they redecorate, they like have holes from the cameraman going like this. So I feel that.
So I don't know what the cleanup is on that, and like if they do a good job, but
I don't know. Or I mean, I guess if it makes you money, if you can rent out your house, I would totally do it. I'd be like, yeah, you can have my house for a few months. Like I would totally do that for a fee. Let's see. My favorite scene is when Baby JGL is trying to convince Heath Ledger to the deal. And then Heath Ledger is looking at him and then drills a hole in his
French book,
which he was supposed to use to teach Bianca French to tutor her, and then he doesn't know French now because there's a giant hole in the middle of the book, and he can't learn.
But in real life, he does know some French.
In real life, he knows French. So, and basically anytime Baby JGL is on screen. By the way, I'm not going to call him Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's Baby JGL because he's Baby JGL in this movie. So that's what I'm going to call him. It's Baby JGL. So anytime he's on screen, he's just super adorable. And I'm like, I would so fall in love. If I was in high school with him, I would so fall in love with him. I'd be like, that's my guy.
I like it when he's in his Volvo and he's like maybe kissed her or something and she leaves. And then he's kind of like dancing around like, I'm back in the game.
He's so cute. And then when he was like confessing his love to her and she's like, that's so cute. What's your name again? It's so sad and teenager-y and very high school. And I feel for him in that scene. And my least favorite scene is when Julia Stiles is reading her poem at the end because she has a really ugly cry face. And every time I'm like, oh, but not that it's bad to look at, everybody has an ugly cry face. I don't know, every time I'm just like, oh, I feel her pain right now.
Yes.
And she's like crying about her love and everything.
I love when Heath Ledger is singing, like to her when she's playing soccer or something.
Yes.
That's great.
It's perfect.
And then the band shows up and then the guys come to like take him down and then he's just running away from them. It's just great. And or I also like when Larry Miller is talking to the girls about dating. Like Larry Miller scenes steal it for me.
Oh,
anytime he's on screen. I just love him. In The Princess Diaries.
Yes.
Everything he does, I will automatically love.
When he's talking to them about, because he's an OBGYN in the movie, and he's talking with them about, how he, like, delivered a crackhead's baby. Right. And then she turned to him and said, I wish I would have listened to my father. And they're like, she didn't say that, Dad.
She would have. Yeah,
she would have.
Worked for the drugs or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. He's so fantastic. And he makes them wear the pregnancy belly.
Yes.
Oh, he's just such an overbearing, conservative dad, and it's just such a cliche of teenage movies, but it works.
Yes. Did you see the TV series?
No, I did not.
He was great in that as well.
Really?
The TV series was cute. It didn't last very long, but it was cute. It was on WB, I think. Or CW.
Was that on WB? Was that recently?
Time vortex.
Was it like 2010? I feel like it was like in the
could be. I would say. I think it's before my children were born. I would say like 2009. Like if I were guessing.
Okay.
This is a guess. We don't have, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a fact checker on this show aside from me and my laptop, and that takes a while. So I can't tell you right now. But I would guess 2009. So for those of you, for some trivia, for those of you who do not know, 10 Things I Hate About You is a based loosely on The Taming of the Shrew, Shakespeare's play, famous play. And, it kind of follows along the story of trying to tame the shrew. So Heath Ledger is trying to tame Julia Stiles' character. They eventually fall in love. And the whole cast of characters that go along with that. So, that's kind of where the premise of the movie goes by, and how there's lots of little hints and little homages to Shakespeare within the movie. So there's like the high school is named something after Shakespeare, and all the characters have kind of their last names relate to Shakespeare in some way. Mm-hmm. So there are when you watch the film, there are little clues throughout, as to how it relates back to Shakespeare. So it's pretty interesting. But some trivia: Heath Ledger beat out Josh Hartnett and Ashton Kutcher for the role of Patrick. And I could see both of those guys doing that. I could totally see both of them doing that, especially Josh Hartnett. I feel like maybe not Ashton Kutcher. He's a little bit too much of a goofball. Like I never take him seriously. Heath Ledger's character is supposed to be kind of an intimidating guy and like this dark, mysterious kind of stranger guy, which Josh Hartnett can have that, but I can't picture Ashton Kutcher doing it. But Josh Hartnett for sure. And also, this is some kind of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon things going on right here. I think I know what you're going for. So Heath Ledger sings Can't Take My Eyes Off You. And this makes Heath Ledger the third actor to sing this song prior to playing a Batman villain. So the first was Christopher Walken sang Can't Take My Eyes Off You in The Deer Hunter before going on to play Max Schreck in Batman Returns. And Michelle Pfeiffer sang Can't Take My Eyes Off You in The Fabulous Baker Boys before going on to play Selena Kyle / Catwoman in Batman Returns.
So,
Whoa.
there you go. That's pretty
Love
crazy,
it.
right?
Yes, I thought you were going to tell me that Cameron, who played by baby JGL, I thought you were going to tell me that Cameron's name, Cameron James, in the film, is a play on famous director James Cameron. I'm going to go ahead and take Bring It On, which is a film about cheerleading. And competitive cheerleading. I'm going to break that off into competitive dance films. I am going with Center Stage from 2000. And since you love to Bring It On, most likely you saw Center Stage, which came out the year after. Here's the synopsis. A group of 12 teenagers from various backgrounds enroll at the American Ballet Academy in New York to make it as ballet dancers. And each one deals with the problems and stress of training and getting ahead in the world of dance. This stars mainly dancers. So you have a few actors in there, but Amanda Scholl is the lead. She plays Jody, and she is a dancer. Zoe Saldana, this is a pretty big film for her. She is actually a dancer turned actor, which I didn't realize that. I thought, I saw her in this film, and then I would see her in later things, and I was like, oh, she's an actress. And she did ballet for this. And then I read about this, and it was like, no, she was ballet and then did acting.
And now she's Avatar and
I love it.
Gamora and everything.
It's crazy. And Susan May Pratt, who was also in 10 Things I Hate About You, is kind of the head girl at the school. She's the one that everyone's like, oh, she's totally gonna make the company, and
she's the best damn ballerina in the ABA.
That's right. Actual actors that are in this film are Peter Gallagher as Jonathan. He's in charge of the company. He's in charge of the school and in charge of the company. So he decides from the school what dancers to choose and where they're going to be in his company if they make it. And Donna Murphy as Juliet. Other dancers, Ethan Steifel's a really famous ballet dancer. And he plays Cooper, which is one of the lead men in this. And he is awful. He's not an actor.
He's not an actor, no.
No.
But he's a beautiful
so
dancer.
Good.
Oh,
he's so good.
So good.
And then Sasha Radetsky, who's also really good. He's Charlie. He kind of plays the love interest of Jody. There's kind of a love triangle between him and Jody and Cooper that goes on throughout the film. This is directed by Nicholas Hinter, who also did The Crucible and The Object of My Affection. And it was also written by Carol Hinken, who I think I said that right, but she also wrote Empire Records.
Oh,
love that. Empire Records came out May 12th, and the budget was $18 million, and the gross was $26 million. So not too big of a success, but I mean, there's not too much you can do with a dance film.
You know what?
The audience there is kind of limited.
I think it's on Netflix.
I'm sure it probably is.
I think so, and I think I need to rewatch it.
And here you go. Bring It On, and this Center Stage. It can be. We can create our own marathon. So
that's right. Dance movies.
Yep.
Or dance, cheer, performance
competitions,
movies,
things like that.
Movies.
Yeah. At the time, I was done. I felt like I was done dancing in my life. This came at the end of that because I had danced in middle school and I had danced all through high school. And dancing through high school when you're on a competitive team is really stressful.
Yes.
And it's a lot of time. 2 hours every day after school, 4 hours on the weekends.
Yep.
And then all the competitions and the stress and just it takes a lot out of you. And after doing it for so long, I was like, if I dance again, I don't want to dance again. And so this kind of came at the end there of
I'm never gonna dance again.
That's right. That's right.
I feel you completely. I did dance since I was 4 years old. I did competitive dance. I did drill team. I did all that stuff. And every single weekend, it's a competition or a convention or a conference or whatever. And it's so stressful. It's so much money. If you add it up, it's probably $100,000 over my dance life of spending money on stuff like that. So it's absolutely insane. But you love it when you're doing it. But then once you're over it, you're like, whew, that was a lot of work. Oh my gosh, I'm going to relax for a bit. So
it's draining.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to finally go back and do dance again. It took me about 2 years from then because I was like, I've got to stop. It's time. And then we'll revisit this later. My favorite scenes, probably the final dance performance. I don't know anyone who wouldn't choose that as their favorite scenes because it's just
there's
so
a motorcycle
well done.
on stage. My mind was blown. I was like, whoa, can they do that? Is that allowed? I was like, hold on.
And when when they're practicing and then he like takes her dress and like pulls it and
Oh,
she
that was so
spins and then
sexual.
it changes into a different dress. I was like, oh my god.
And you're like, no, how is this physically possible? And then in the one of the scenes when she pushes them away, goes down, and then comes up and her hair's different, and you're like,
Yes.
they
You're
couldn't
like,
have
no.
done that.
Yes.
No, this is a movie magic trick. They can't do that on stage. I was like, hold on, let's pause. But that was the whole point of that scene, was like, let's just showcase these dancers and everything incredible they can do and have this amazing music in it. And I was like, I was like, oh my gosh, everything in this scene is amazing. And like, you know, when you watch a scene and you're like just so hyped, like we were like up literally dancing in the aisles, jumping over each other because this scene was so incredible. We were like, I can't believe it's happening. And she does her ending fouettes, which are where she's doing the little spins, and she's like, dance, dance, dance. And I'm like, ah, and she's just spinning the whole time, and you're like, this is amazing. It's so, I know I'm getting a little overexcited, audience. But it was just that level of like, oh my gosh, I'm so antsy. I can't not move to this scene because I was so just.
I also like one other
amazed
thing
by
I like that's kind of a little nuance is Zoe Saldana's character is like smoking a cigarette and then she drops it on the ground and she takes her shoe, her point ballet shoe, and she goes up on point to like boop boop to make sure that it's out.
Yes.
And I think that's so hilarious because I can totally see ballet dancers doing that. That's something that ballet dancers do.
Because you burn the end of your point shoe
Yes.
anyway, so it's not like you're ruining your shoe.
Exactly.
That's exactly what you should be doing. But you shouldn't smoke, so don't do that, kiddos.
My least favorite scene is when the girl gets kicked out because she's too fat.
Oh, Emily. Oh, poor Emily. Well,
Because I'm like, oh man,
I know.
that sucks.
It's so sad. Well, it's her own fault. She was picking up all those pastries. So I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding. That was a horrible moment. And unfortunately, that is a part of the world.
It is.
It's all. I never necessarily had to diet, but you know, it's like you just have to keep yourself healthy. And unfortunately, some girls go to the extreme if they feel like they're not as good as some other dancers. Right. And I had a few friends that ended up having eating disorders from doing dance, and
it's an unfortunate realization of that world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even
it's a real part of it.
And even if you're not doing it for like a competitive reason or to be on some team or something, it's just because it's there and that's kind of the standard. Sadly.
Yeah.
Any other favorite or least favorites scenes that you wanted for this movie that you might want to reminisce?
I mean, it's just that ending scene was so exciting. And then also, there's a small scene when Zoe Saldana finds out, like, she got into the dance academy and she's with her friends and she's like, spicy Latina girl, you know, that's like her character. But she's with her friends and she's like, they're having beers or something like that. And then she's like, I could work at Hooters. And they're like, you have to have a Hooters. She's like, I could get implants. Like, that's just her little cliched line that they gave her
when they're at that club.
Yeah. No, this is in the beginning before she gets in. But then later when they're at the club and then they're like, have like a little, I'm going to let my hair loose scene. And they're like super hungover the next day, which that was funny too. I was like.
And they have to wash the mirrors.
Yeah, exactly.
I also didn't like when there's like that romance between Jody and Cooper. And then like she goes to see him at some performance and then he blows her off with like some other girl. And I'm like,
what are you doing here?
That's so life, isn't it?
I know. That was such I couldn't believe he was that much of a dick.
Yeah.
Like, especially when he was like, okay, I get it, maybe he's not into her, but why was he like, what are you doing here? Like, obviously she's there because you guys slept together and she thinks that there's something going on, so maybe gently let her down and be like, listen, this is that was a one-time thing, I think you're a great girl. And
I'm older than you.
Yeah,
you're not understanding.
Yeah, you don't get it, so let me explain it to you. But yeah, he was a total dick. And then, but she told him off in the end, she's like, you're a great dancer, but as a boyfriend, you kind of suck. And we were like, as women, we were like, yes, you go, girl. You tell him.
That's right. Tell him. Some trivia for this. Susan May Pratt plays Maureen, who's the best dancer in the school, but she has no ballet training herself. So obviously she had some dance doubles. The American Ballet Company does not exist. There is, however, the American Ballet Theater, and that's where Ethan Stifel Cooper is a principal dancer. He was until 2012. So kind of
recently. For a long time.
Now he's an artistic director at the Royal New Zealand Ballet. So if you're ever in New Zealand, go check him out.
I will. I'll be like, I thought he was that up there. I'm sure he gets that from like girls all over the world.
And that The actual school in the movie that you see is Juilliard, and they added like a special effect at the top to like make it look like there's a dance, open dance area at the top. There's not. So there you go. There you have it. That's that film. That's one of my dance competition films. Should I go ahead and do my next dance competition film?
Do it.
All right. This one's a little older. I'm hoping you've seen it. This actually, the entire thing isn't necessarily dance competition, but it has a dance competition in it, and that is Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
With Sarah Jessica Parker?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen it?
I have seen parts of it. My mom loves this movie.
Okay. Now, this is not, like, out of all the films that I was thinking about, I was like, I'm not necessarily, like, gung-ho in love with this film, but I do appreciate the dance competition that happens in the film. I recently saw Strictly Ballroom. Have you seen that? That was really good.
I've heard of it with...
Baz Luhrmann is the one that directed it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so Girls Just Want to Have Fun. This is about a girl, Janie, and she's new in town, and she meets Lynn, who becomes one of her new friends. They share a passion for dancing in general and for dance TV. And when a competition is announced to find a new dance TV regular couple, Janie and Lynn are determined to audition. The only problem is that Janie's father doesn't approve of that kind of thing. So Sarah Jessica Parker is Janie. Helen Hunt is Lynn Stone. And Lee Montgomery is Jeff. Jeff is the boy that becomes her partner. So what happens is they go to the initial tryouts, and Janie gets asked to move forward to the next round, but Lynn doesn't. And they select all these different people, right? And they decide to pair them up boy-girl. Actually, one of them, they paired up girl-girl, but that's because they were identical twins. And they're like, well, we could, I guess, do this. So they're looking for a couple to replace this other couple on this dance program. And they pair her up with Jeff. So Janie and Jeff are together, and they're as you know, they are complete opposites. Like, they hate each other from the moment that they start dancing together, and they can't come to any sort of consensus. The whole story is about them, like, trying to basically, like, not hate each other and get this job done and maybe eventually be on this show, while at the same time, she has to hide all this from her dad. So there's two sort of conflicts there.
So it's exactly like Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, It kind of is. And I thought Strictly Ballroom was a lot like Dirty Dancing too. I was like, it's basically Dirty Dancing, but without like the cat skill. Now, if Dirty Dancing had an actual competition in it, which it doesn't,
besides like the country clubs.
That's just a showcase.
Yeah, just a showcase.
So if it had a competition, I probably would have done it. Now, the difference also there is that in Dirty Dancing, they don't necessarily hate each other, but they, are doing this, and they're more business working together in the beginning before they start to like each other. Whereas this one, they like genuinely do not like each other at all, and are like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why are we partners? And then they have to figure out how to get past all that, which they do. Good for them.
Yay.
And then they like each other, and then they're boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh my god, so cute.
I never saw it coming. And then like her dad, once the dad sees her on stage, like he gets upset because he tries to keep her from leaving the house because she sneaks out, and like he gets an alarm that will go off when she opens the window, and he cuts down the tree because she used to like climb out the window through the tree. Oh my gosh.
So he's like...
He's serious. Like, don't cross this man. He's like an ex-Marine. And then he later... So she ends up going out to... I think someone's got to distract him or something. She ends up going to the competition, and he, like, comes down to find her, like, at the actual studio. And he's on the side stage, and he sees her dancing, and he's finally, like, okay with it. Because he's like, oh, she's really good. Like, she should dance. I'm like, why wouldn't you just...
Yeah, what's wrong with dancing?
Check it out at some point.
Yeah.
It's not like it's Footloose or something. Yeah. It's kind of like he's the Footloose man.
Dancing's the devil.
So all I know is it grossed $6 million and was released April 12th, 1985. I have no idea what the budget was. Obviously, there's no awards for this movie. My first viewing was probably VHS at some point, and I believe my last viewing was like right before Rush in college. Rush is when you go to join a sorority or stuff like that. And I remember this because one of the houses, there you go a few different days. So on like the third day you do a house tour or something, and usually there's a video presentation before you go look at the house, and or something like that, if I remember correctly. And one of the sororities parodied Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And I was like, I just watched this movie yesterday. What a coincidence.
That's so fun. Yeah, I was in a sorority, so I'm very familiar with Rush. And we always did stuff like that. Like, you pick a movie or a popular, pop culture thing and kind of parody it to be around your sorority. So that actually sounds like a movie that they would totally use.
It is.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
So my favorite scenes are the end competition, and my least favorite scenes are when she gets caught and he cuts down the tree and all that stuff, because that kind of sucks. There's really no trivia, unfortunately. I couldn't find anything.
Oh, no.
But there's a rumor of a remake in 2009. That's when the rumor came out in that time, but nothing has
But then,
become
didn't
of that.
they just make Footloose in 2009? Like, was that part of the
Maybe
rumor? Was they're gonna remake an 80s dance movie?
Yeah,
So
maybe
people were
it was. It could have been that, and then they decided Footloose. So
maybe.
there you go.
We'll see. Okay, so those are your two.
So
movies.
those are mine. So we went Toy Story, and then movies where the leads hate each other to bring it on, and then I chose dance competition films and did Center Stage and did Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
So from mine, after I picked the 10 Things I Hate About You, were the two movies where the leads hate each other. Since 10 Things I Hate About You is based on classic literature, Taming the Shrew, I picked two other movies that are loosely based on classic literaure.
Awesome.
The first is Lion King, because it's based on Hamlet. And the second is Clueless, because it's based on Emma.
Woohoo!
So let's jump on in, guys.
Okay. Yes, I've seen both of these. Waha!
Yay, good job. I'm proud of you.
Excited.
So Lion King, everyone has seen it, hopefully, and knows the synopsis, but a lion cub and future King Simba searches for his identity. His eagerness to please others and penchant for testing his boundaries sometimes gets him in trouble. So this is obviously one of the most popular, beloved animated films of all time. It was originally the highest grossing animated movie ever, and then Frozen beat it, I think, is what happened. So, clearly everyone loves it, and it's incredible.
Got it. I was thinking Toy Story 3.
I actually don't know. I feel like
maybe if it's animated, but yeah.
It held
Frozen
the crown.
was animated.
Held the crown for a while,
Okay.
and then it was just recently beat.
Got it.
So obviously the cast, it's every millennial's childhood crush, is Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Of course.
Is baby Simba. And James Earl Jones, Darth Vader himself, is Mufasa. And Jeremy Irons plays Scar.
He's really good as Scar.
He's really good as Scar. Nathan Lane plays Timon. And I forgot to play Pumbaa. But then Whoopi Goldberg is one of the hyenas in the movie. So every incredible actors, incredible cast, incredible soundtrack, obviously, and then Elton John won an Oscar for his song "Can You Feel the Love Tonight." So just a really, really wonderful movie all around, but based on Hamlet,
and
which
Matthew Broderick.
And Matthew Broderick plays
the
older Simba. So they actually, this was the B team for Disney was working on this.
B-team.
A team was working on Pocahontas because they had more faith in that. They thought that was going to be way more popular. And they thought this was going to be just kind of a random little movie about a little lion on the Pride, on Pride Rock. But it ended up being just obviously a huge hit and has spawned multiple sequels, a huge Broadway play. And
Broadway play is fantastic.
Which I need to see. I'm really jealous that I haven't seen it.
It's something that there are a few things that I recommend people see. I mean, I love theater, live theater. That is the number one thing I would say people need to see. Because it's just, you don't see anything like that.
Right. Because it's all people playing the animals, but
Yes.
it's on stilts and stuff, right? It's doing all this crazy.
And they go through the audience and stuff. It's
Oh my gosh.
It's really good.
Okay,
I'm getting chills just
need to
thinking
see
about
that.
it.
Every time, I also think of, have you seen when they're on the plane, the cast is on the plane and they sing Circle of Life, they just burst out into song, and everyone's like,
Oh yes, I love it. And then the Aladdin people are there too.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh wait, that's a different video.
That's a different
But,
video.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, but yeah, I mean, anytime anybody says the words, Lion King, automatically you think of the beautiful songs in the film, and just what the movie is. Everybody has seen
Right.
some version of it, or like knows at least a few of the songs from it. So, let's see. It came out in '94. It grossed like $3 trillion, I think. It's one of the most
Yes.
successful financial movies ever. Literally, it was like over 500 million or something like that. Something crazy.
Wow.
My first viewing was, it might have been one of the first movies I saw in theaters, like as a child, because I was 4 years old.
Okay.
So, or I would have been 4 in 1994. So I think I saw it. That was like my first movie
Yeah.
my parents took me to the actual theater, because taking small children, like 2 and under, is a big mistake,
it's hard.
in my opinion.
It's hard.
But once they get a little older and they can kind of talk and they understand, like, okay, don't stand up and scream in the middle of the theater, then you can start taking them to the movies. So, and a recent viewing, of course, it's another one of those Disney movies me and my friends always watch together, so I'm sure I saw it at some sleepover. We rewatched it. My favorite scene is the opening Circle of Life scene. It's just so gorgeous. And the movie, or the music just swells, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then they like lift him up, and it's like, and it's amazing every time. My least favorite scene is, of course, when Mufasa dies.
Yes.
Not because it's bad, but because it's so sad.
Just with Scar and him like putting the clothes.
Yeah.
All of it. All of it's
Long
terrible.
live the king. Fun fact, so
Terrible.
Scar is the only lion where you can always see his claws out. They, the animators did that to where his claws are always showing, but the other lions, usually they're retracted.
Interesting.
Unless they, like, are fighting or whatever, but, or maybe not even when they're fighting. I don't know, but they always made him look sinister. And, originally, it was supposed to be Scar was just a lion that had been like thrown out of Pride Rock or whatever, and was like an outcast or something, and comes in and tries to steal the spotlight. They didn't have him as being the brother of Mufasa, so that's why they look so different and really have nothing else in common. They kind of rewrote that to where he was the uncle. Or maybe they did that after they decided it was going to be kind of more inspired by Hamlet, so
Right.
they did all that stuff. But, it started out as he was going to be this outside kind of rogue lion. And the animators loved Jeremy Irons' performance as Scar so much that they kind of redesigned him to look like Jeremy Irons. So they had...
That's so cool.
They, like, redid his
Love
features and took his face and incorporated it into, everything. So, let's see. Some trivia. A few weeks before the film, Elton John was given a special screening, and he noticed that they had cut out "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" from the movie.
What? That's
And
like the best part.
I know. And so he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, that's a really good song. You guys got to put it back in. So they put it back in, and it won him an Academy Award. So obviously he knew what he was talking about. And then during the Be Prepared song with the hyenas, when they're marching and all in a row and they're looking up at Scar, that's supposed to be inspired by a famous image during like a speech from Hitler with the Nazis when they're marching by, and he's
Interesting.
on like a podium up there or something like that. And then
Wait, what is the scene? What is the song
It's like
that's
Be
playing when he like
Prepared.
becomes like he gets older? You see him get older.
oh yeah, Hakuna Matata.
I like that scene. That's probably my favorite.
Oh, and you remember when he's like flipping his mane, and then
Yeah.
like eventually show him he'll like pass behind a leaf, and he's like older, and you're like, whoa, what? Time is passing. Which I don't know how much time is supposed to have passed. Is that
Sure.
I don't know
Yeah.
how long it
I
takes
don't
a
know
lion
what-
to grow
yeah.
up, like a year or something.
No
I don't know.
clue.
I just threw that number out there. Someone Google it, please. Adult Simba's mane is inspired by John Bon Jovi's hair.
That
So
is
that's what that's
hilarious.
supposed to look like. And also, Liam Neeson was considered for the role of Mufasa. So I can also picture
Yep.
Liam Neeson's deep, rich voice as
Right.
Mufasa, but still,
What's the bird's name? You know the bird's name? Zazu.
Yeah, Zazu.
Zazu. I think he's saying, I've got a lovely bunch of
Coconut nuts, diddly-dee, they are all standing in a row. Big one, small one, some as big as your head. Yeah,
Yep.
I know the whole
That's
song.
one of my favorites.
You know.
That's my favorite.
It's perfect. Everything in the movie. I don't have a least favorite scene because it's all incredible. It's The Lion King. It's Lion King.
Yes.
So, watch
Love
it.
it.
Love it. Watch it. Okay. Next movie, Clueless, loosely
Yes.
based on Emma,
Right.
written by Jane Austen. So, a rich high school student tries to boost a new pupil's popularity, but reckons without affairs of the heart getting in the way. So, this is another incredibly smart teen rom-com satire of the 90s this time rather than the 2000s. And it's just, I mean, it's endlessly quotable. Everybody
Yes.
loves it. or maybe if they don't love it, they at least know of it and can quote lines from it. The cast is Alicia Silverstone, Batgirl herself. Brittany Murphy, little baby Brittany Murphy. It's got Paul Rudd as a regular-sized man, not an ant-sized man, who doesn't age. He looks the exact same way.
I don't know how that's possible.
I have no idea.
Who's his surgeon?
I don't know. He
we
just
need to
doesn't
find
age.
out.
He's a total Baldwin. He's totally gorgeous. And Stacey Dash as Dion, who is brilliant in the film as well.
Yes.
And she's super beautiful, and I wish she was in more things. I don't know what she's up to. But
I also like Donald Faison.
Yes.
He's like one of my favorites, especially from Scrubs. Like, I just love that guy.
Yes, absolutely.
Breckenmeyer.
Him and Dion's, and Breckenmeyer's in there, and he's a skater guy, and oh my gosh.
And Jeremy Sisto, like, so
everybody's
many good.
in
Oh,
it.
Wallace Shawn, he was he was in Princess Bride.
Oh.
Episodes ago.
Yes.
What do you know?
Yes, oh my goodness. So it was released in 95. The box office in the U.S. was about $50 million. The first time I saw it, I was probably 10 or 11. I'm sure at a friend's house when we watched Clueless. And I mean, I've rewatched it, I think like maybe a month ago. It was on Netflix. So I was like, gotta rewatch Clueless again. And my favorite scene is with Dion on the freeway when she is scared and trying to learn how to drive. Because that was me. I hate driving. I'm actually a terrible driver, and I'm very scared of it. And that was me learning to drive, was just my mom yelling at me to get out of the way, you are going to die.
It's scary.
And just being really, really
freeways
scared.
in LA are totally different than freeways other places.
This is very true.
So I can get it, but I love Donald Faison's like, wait, no, you're getting on the freeway.
No. What am I doing? Ah! Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
So
It's
good.
so perfect. And, you know,
So good.
every scene, you're a virgin who can't drive. Like, everything they say is ridiculous.
So I saw this in theaters with my friend Heather. I do remember seeing it. And then I remember the part we thought was, like, the funniest part is when the teacher is going over all the tardies. And he's like, most tardies this year, most tardies this semester or whatever. And then the music comes up and then Breckenmeyer stands up and he like has his little speech. He's like, I don't know who to thank. Maybe those people at McDonald's that like take forever making those little English muffins. Thanks, guys, or something. You know, like something hilarious.
My parents for never giving me a ride. All the teachers. He's so brilliant in that movie. He really is. I love Breckenmeyer.
I love that.
Yeah, and all that her like speech where she gives she stands up and she gives her speech and compares world issues to a garden party she had for her dad.
Does not say RSVP on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many moments where you're like, these kids are so stupid, but you love them because you're like, oh, well, they're just high school kids. It's okay. And they're sort of making fun of them, but also it's real. These kids, the things these kids say, the writers went and sat in real Beverly Hills high school classrooms and listened to how the kids talked and what they talked about and wrote the script from that. So it's really what people were talking about at the time. Some trivia. So let's see. Paul Rudd auditioned for the roles of Murray, Christian, and Elton. So Rudd assumed that the character of Murray was a white teenager trying to act like a rapper. So he thought so.
Interesting. That's Donald Faison's part.
Donald Faison's part,
Okay.
Dion's boyfriend. So he thought he was white and just acting ridiculous.
Kind of like Malibu's Most Wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Jamie
He thought it was the
Kennedy.
Malibu's Most Wanted thing. Let's see. This one was super interesting, which I wish I had this. One of the promotional items distributed to tie in with the film was a booklet called How to Speak Cluelessly, and it was a lexicon of many of the invented terms used in the movie, which some of them became a part of real teen lingo at the time. So, for example,
Nice.
a Baldwin is a very handsome male, as in the famous siblings of actors, the Baldwin brothers. So I thought that was super, super fascinating, and I was like,
Nice,
I
that
want
would
that
be cute.
book as a piece of
wonder if you
memorabilia
can
for
get
this
it.
movie. I don't know. Look it up. Someone get it for me for my birthday. Send it to me. Thanks.
All right. Well, that is all for we've done our 6 films.
We have.
What do you know?
What do you know?
Off of Toy Story.
Off of Toy Story, we came up with Bring It On, 10 Things I Hate About You, Lion King, Clueless.
Center Stage and Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Those are all completely random movies
They
that
are.
are somehow related to each other in one way or another.
Now, I also have tweet links for this. Some people tweeted us to let us know. I asked movies where the leads hate each other, and here are some suggestions that we got on Twitter that Stacy's going to have.
So we've got at Bruised by Dawn, Gladiator, at Because Thomas Selenka, and Kellesoderback. The Prestige got As Smooth as Usual 47 at Evil Twin Ghost, Toy Story. Good job with that one.
Yeah, see, we got someone to get ours.
Yeah, at J. Robertson Comedy, any home movie starring my parents.
That was good.
At Kevin Wellenstein, sorry if I mispronounced that. Con.
Yes.
There was a lot of N's, so
That
I
guy is
yelled
fun.
that. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey Kevin, what's up? At Magic Hour Movie Man, War of the Roses. That's a great classic. I love that movie. It's super dark and twisted. At
Is that Bette Midler?
Neil.
Bette Midler? War of the
No,
Roses?
that was Catherine Turner and
Oh, okay.
Michael Douglas.
Got it.
Or Kathleen Turner. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
At Neil to Zero Midnight Run. At Texia Trading Places. At Sal Lynch, Lethal Weapon, and at Tyralizer, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Sorry, I am really bad about reading
It's okay,
Twitter
it's
names.
hard.
I'm like, how do you, is there a space in the lettering?
I don't know if
every
they're
time?
meant to be read out loud.
They're not.
So, there you
Sorry
go.
about
You
that.
did
I
a good job.
apologize. I got nervous. Anyway, I just saw Man from U.N.C.L.E. I thought it was really good. I liked that.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's cute. Armie Hammer and Henry Cavill are gorgeous. They're
Scott Mance
gorgeous,
says it's
man.
whipped cream over garbage. So we'll see.
It is. No, it's kind of stupid, but I liked it.
I gave him that saying because I saw him at D23 and that was when I met him, and I was talking about, my husband and I want to see a film tonight, like I said, Man from U.N.C.L.E. looks good, and he was like, and I was like, oh, is it whipped cream over garbage? And he was like, yes, it's exactly that. And I was like, yep.
That's so funny.
And then he was like, I'm going to use that on this thing that I'm talking to later. I was like, you can use that.
All right, perfect.
It's a good time. So we also like to close out our episode by linking this all up to Kevin Bacon. And it's actually pretty easy this time because there's really only one. So Kevin Bacon was in Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks is Woody in Toy Story.
There you go.
So there it is, people. That is all we got. Well, thank you for joining us today. I've had fun. This was good.
Me too. You can find me on Twitter at SOHoward2012.
And you can find me on Twitter at Miss Movies. You can also find me on Instagram at Miss_movies if you want to check out things that are going on in my life. So that's that.
I love it. Thanks for listening, and subscribe to the podcast. And
give us a rating.
Yeah,
that
give
would
us
be
a rating.
awesome.
And if you give us 1 star, no, don't do that. As if we're awesome. It's
As
5-star.
if. Yes,
Just wanted to
please.
relate it back to one movie.
All right.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye. 6 Degrees of Feature Film is produced by Stacy Howard and me. Special thank you to Ken Knapsack for our intro and Matt Brown for our artwork.